I didn't have the opportunity to go to college right after high school because I didn't know how to manage the chaos that was going on in and around my life. I define chaos as any internal or external interference that interferes with the student's chances of being successful. I grew up on the south side of Chicago at a time when gangs and drugs were at an all-time high. My brother and I were two of the most recognized drug dealers on the south side until one night something happened that changed our lives forever. We were outside selling drugs like we had been doing every night prior to that one. There was something strange about that night. While I stood there trying to negotiate my emotions, two men crept along the dark side of our house and opened fire. I could still hear each bullet as it exploded out of the chamber, whistled through the air, and ricocheted off the house. In the distance, the cries of my friends punctured my eardrums as the bullets pierced through their skin, ripped through their flesh, and left holes in them. My heart was pounding viciously in my chest, and my mind was running a mile a minute. Yet every second took an eternity. 4 people got shot that night, but my best friend, Dwight, got killed. I know those bullets were intended for my brother and me, but we survived. The only reason I survived that day is so that I could be here today to impact the lives of students. Has there ever been a time in your life when you know you needed to change, but you didn't know how or when that change was going to take place? For me, it was when Dwight died. I knew I needed to change, but I had no college training. I barely graduated high school with a 1.6 grade point average. My saving grace is my girlfriend and I at the time were expecting our first child. And on December 2nd, 1992, our first daughter was born. My girlfriend then became my wife, and on December 2nd, 1993, our second child was born. Things were going good in my house, if you know what I mean. And on December 2nd, 1994, we had twin sons. Wow, I love telling this story because every time I tell it, I get the same reaction. It seems like it sucks the life out of the room. The women try to stay away from me as if I'm contagious, and there's not another man in the building who would want to trade places with me right now, unless he has 8 kids and I wouldn't want to trade places with him. I get crazy responses as well. I was giving this presentation to a group of educators when a lady way in the back of the room stood up and asked, "How many children did he say he had?" Before I could respond, a guy in the front row turned around and yelled back, "A lot!" The best response I received to this day came from an 8th grader. He politely waited until I was done with my presentation, walked up to me and said, "You need to enroll in our sex education class. You don't know what you're doing." Dwight's death taught me a lot about managing chaos. I learned how to manage chaos through one skill called flexible thinking. Flexible thinking is the ability to switch gears quickly and develop new approaches to solving problems when the old approaches are no longer working. When I grew up on the south side of Chicago, flexible thinking was the difference between life and death. Now, it may not be the difference between life and death for you, but it could be the difference between whether or not you graduate from college. According to Psychology Today, students who learn to become flexible thinkers do better in 3 major areas of their lives: their personal success, their personal relationships, and their mental health. So the question is, how does one become a flexible thinker? You can become a flexible thinker by being open to new ideas. When you're open to new ideas, it allows you to see things from other people's perspectives. It gives you new experiences and new ideas to add to your schema. And once you encounter new problems and new challenges, your mind automatically switches into gear and gives you creative ways to solve complex problems that you didn't have originally. Another way to become a flexible thinker is by adapting to change. The world in which we live is changing very rapidly. Adapting to that change gives you the ability to think quickly on your feet, even if the ground beneath it is shifting. And the last way to become a flexible thinker is by maintaining a positive mental attitude. I love talking about having a positive attitude. One time my wife and I were vacationing in Mexico, and I had this bright idea that we would go jet skiing. All of the men got on the front of their jet skis and our wives got on the back. And right when we were about to take off, my wife leaned forward and asked, "You're not afraid, are you?" I said, "How can I be afraid? I survived the south side of Chicago." That's what I tell myself when I'm afraid. We went way out in the ocean and we got together in what I like to call an old school huddle. We were trying to determine what we were going to do next. And before I knew it, I was no longer riding my jet ski. My jet ski was riding me. I was out there in the middle of the ocean and I was panicking. I was like, help, I'm drowning. My wife said, baby, you can't drown. You have on a life jacket. I said, you don't understand. This one is not working. My wife swam to me as if she was one of those swimmers on the old show Baywatch. When she got there, I was still hysterical, so I pushed her head down so that my head could stay up. She said, baby, you're drowning me. I said, you can't drown. You have on a life jacket. When you go back to your campus and to your clubs and to your organizations, there will be times when it feels like you're drowning. And all you will want to do is keep your head above water. But I want you to remember 3 things. Remember that if you become a flexible thinker, it teaches you how to be open to new ideas. It teaches you how to adapt to change. It also teaches you how to maintain a positive mental attitude. Thank you.